Hello from me, Lazarus. Welcome to the new lessons from the course on creating a website from scratch. Last time we started with them, these are these CSS lessons, from the CSS section. Last time we started with the types of designs, their placement, and in the first 3 lessons we looked at one type at a time. Now we come to one of the most important designs right now, adaptive design. Adaptive design began to become necessary when, in the years following the first types of design, after 2000, new devices began to appear, tablets, smartphones, and others with different sizes and resolutions. And over time they continued to be used more and more widely. Even in the last few years, they have turned out to be used more than desktop computers and laptops. This forced designers to take action and, they began to create a second mobile version of the sites. However, this approach, over time began to be considered not particularly suitable, because in practice you have to maintain 2 separate sites, which makes things difficult and expensive. That's why right now, between late 2024 when I wrote this and mid 2025, when I'm doing this tutorial, mobile versioning is done very rarely, mainly by large complex sites that contain many blocks and other elements, and with them, let's say creating an adaptive design or minimalist design is quite difficult. And it is better to maintain 2 versions in this case, so that they have full functionality. And besides the mobile version approach, almost 2 other types of design have been developed in parallel, adaptive and responsive design. They are quite similar and many people still today continue to confuse them and not define them correctly. Even those who consider themselves experts, in this case admit factual inaccuracy. And I myself always want everything to be exactly factual, and that's why I can't have that. So, adaptive design adjusts itself to the resolution of the monitor and the width of the browser window. Usually, several different layouts are created, and in each of them, the location of blocks, the size of buttons, of fields, text, and images are changed. Separate CSS rules are written for this purpose, media queries, styles that were further developed and improved in CSS3. So these CSS rules can be differently, depending on the type devices that we want to cover, but usually vary from 2 to 6. For example, in the usual option is to create 3 such rules and media queries, for desktop, for tablet, and for mobile. Here you can see what a typical tablet app looks like. You see here, of 4 they fold into 2 columns of 2, and in mobile ones, the third type, each becomes a separate column, each such block. This diagram I think it quite clearly shows this. These CSS rules can be located in separate CSS files, and maybe in one, as through the rule the media is set to which device what styles to use. That will be the first part of this topic. Best regards.